Monday, September the 4th, 2017, to you. It is amazing how diplomats can separate things in their lives. This morning, a few minutes before the UN Security Council session began, we could watch the Chinese ambassador, Mr. Liu Jieyi, exchanging a warm shake hand with his US counterpart, Mrs. Nikki Haley, by the horseshoe table. Probably they are good friends, but that does not mean they may not discuss. They are supposed to represent their governments, after all, and that is what they actually did afterwards. Mrs. Haley said that North Korea's leader was begging for war. Enough is enough, she said. For his part, Mr. Liu replied that China would never allow chaos and war on the peninsula. Also, he touted that the freeze for freeze proposal pushed for by Moscow and Beijing, where Pyongyang could freeze its nuclear power program in exchange for the US and South Korea suspending joint military exercises. However, Mrs. Haley called such a proposal insulting. In short, no accord was reached. The meeting was fascinating, though. Everybody knows that the 5 permanent members at the Security Council have veto power. So I read what Russia's TASS news agency and China's Xinhua have published over the ongoing crisis in the Korea Peninsula, so that I could grasp their point of view. By the way, both Russian President Mr. Vladimir Putin and Chinese President Mr. Xi Jinping are at the BRICS summit. Does the BRICS thing still exist anyway? In the southeastern Chinese city of Xiamen. They wanted to discuss about trade, so I presume that North Korea is an unwelcome issue. First, I found some common ideas. Xinhua published a commentary. I assume it is the official point of view given China's lack of free press, according to which if things get out of control, China and South Korea will be the ones to suffer most. North America, that is tens of thousands of miles away. Precisely. It is that last assumption what North Korean ICBM technology would be challenging. Nobody could be away enough. Secondly, TASS interviewed Russian expert Mr. Konstantin Kokarev, and he said almost the same about the proximity of Russia and China to the battlefield should hostilities break out. In other words, Russia and China are scared. That is interesting. If Moscow and Beijing admitted their fear, it could be easier to reach a solution. As I wrote earlier, politics are about emotions too. Everyone is afraid. Ironically enough, the less frightened ones are the North Koreans themselves, in spite of the missiles fired today by South Korean army into the sea. Why should they be afraid? Their leader can make the earth tremble after all. I am wondering how North Koreans may be thinking about Mr. Kim now. Indeed, on this issue we must be Kim-pathetic. The world is still on.